What the hell was JB Bickerstaff doing with the Cleveland Cavaliers? Because it is night and day difference this season. Now, let me take a step back. Before we get into all of this, I want to appreciate everybody for welcoming into the second episode of the Crockpot Podcast. This is day 2 of my non-negotiable of posting a podcast video every single day or every other day and, until we say otherwise. And the Cavaliers destroyed the Golden State Warriors, the 7-1 Golden State Warriors, that is, yesterday at home. And it wasn't even a contest. Like, can we be honest? They came out of the gate and it was like 16-2. And the rest was pretty much history. I've seen a lot of LeBron James Cavalier basketball. I've seen him play a little bit when he was in Miami. I wasn't very fond of that time, but I've seen a lot of different types of basketball. I don't know if I have ever seen a game start out the way that the Cavaliers started out this game yesterday. It was unlike anything that I have ever seen. And the one thing that I just kept thinking about watching it was just like, what was JB Bickerstaff telling these guys um in the locker room? What was his philosophy? Now, I know what the one thing that they implemented is the one thing that they're still basing this team off of now, which is defense. JB Bickerstaff created a defensive juggernaut. Is that fair to say? I won't say juggernaut because that's a little strong, but the philosophy of this team comes from defense, and you don't get that without JB Bickerstaff. So I won't sit here and say that JB Bickerstaff was this complete failed project. He molded the team that we are today. And you know, like the same reason that I use this example a lot in sports because it's the perfect example. And it's funny enough, it has to correlate with what the Golden State Warriors did back a few years ago before the dynasty that they had with the Splash Bros and Draymond. And that was when they had Mark Jackson. Jackson pretty much was the one that molded that Golden State Warriors team, but they needed another coach to get them over the edge. They brought in Steve Kerr, the offense changed into this dynamic thing, and the rest is history. That's exactly what feels like is happening right now with Kenny Atkinson and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had the pieces there. The only pieces that they don't have right now is Max Strus because he's injured with an ankle, and they've been dominating in every facet of the game. They're number one in they're number 1 in points. They're number 2 in field goal percentage. They're number 2 in 3-point percentage. They're 6th in assists. The way that the ball is moving and flowing, it's exactly what we saw all these years in Golden State. Look at the pie. Everyone got a piece. Evan Mobley, 23, 4, 4, and 4. You don't even need him getting 10 rebounds when the ball is moving this way because right now the ball has so much energy behind it that it's just finding the bucket. It's a beautiful thing. It's a work of art when you see the ball being rotated the way that it is and everyone getting a touch instead of just coming up and Mitchell playing ISO basketball, maybe one pass back to him and him trying to make a play. Or Darius Garland, one swing pass down to Evan Mobley. He back down and try to get some. They've sped the game up, and it is exactly what this team needed. 16 points for Isaac Okoro. 4 of them come from the 3 ball. You're talking about your best defender. Your best perimeter defender is now going to be clipping threes at a high clip like this. Like, granted, we know he's not going to hit 4 threes on a consistent basis. But if you're getting that out of your number 1 defender, I mean, my goodness. Jared Allen, 13 and 12. With 3 assists, and he's been blocking anything that comes his way. 1 block for him, 2 blocks for Evan Mobley. But the towers, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, are standing taller than they've ever been. And, you know, I'm going to get to Darius Garland now because he had 27, 6, and 3. And Mitchell only had 12 points. Your best player on the team only having to give you 12 points. And he had 7 of those points in the first quarter. That tells you something. But one thing that I do want to talk about is the Darius Garland thing, because last year I gave Darius Garland a lot of crap in the playoffs. I was betting on this kid every day to get me 15 points. And you got to understand, when you're making $200-something million, we did the same thing to Deshaun Watson, not living up to the expectation and the contract that he had. it was warranted. Now, when you take in the context, the injury that he was eating through a straw because of his jaw and all, and the injury and all that stuff. That's a mental hurdle. That's a mental task. That's obviously going to affect your play. And when you don't have a coach who's going to maximize you the way that you need to be maximized, or find a way to tap into something else when the thing that you're best at isn't working, you're I'm sorry. All right, let's just call a spade a spade. But there is a big but here. I need to see this come playoff time. This is all cute and this is all fun. Being 10-0 to start the season is all good and dandy. But every year that we get into the playoffs, the lights just always seem to be too bright. Now, hopefully the lights won't be too bright this year, because you've been through the New York Knicks where the lights were too bright. You came out last year and you did beat the Magic in a 7-game series, and you put up a very bad fight versus the Boston Celtics. But at that point, injuries, Mitchell was single-handedly carrying the team. Darius Garland was nowhere near. He was nowhere to be found. And Evan Mobley wasn't playing the offensive basketball like Evan Mobley is playing now. So I'm definitely excited to see how they keep this ball rolling into the seasons that matter most. We're not even at the halfway point yet. So if they can keep this steam and they can keep this momentum and they can keep swinging the ball like they're doing, I don't see why this Cavalier team can't make a push, because this is exactly what you need. This is the style of basketball that the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing. It's like, it reminds me of when I was in middle school playing basketball. Because when I was in middle school playing basketball, the one thing that our coach always preached was pass and cut, pass and cut. You pass, you don't just stand there, you cut. You're always moving. And this Cleveland Cavaliers team is always on the go. The ball never seems like it's just in one spot. It's here, it's in the corner, it's on the baseline, it's back up to the top of the key, it's to the wing, it's back to the key, it's in the corner, 3-ball, backdoor baseline, layup. Like, when the ball is moving like that, I don't give a damn how good your defense is. I don't care what defensive perimeter players you have, who's your big, tall man. Victor Wembanyama could be protecting the rim. You're going to have a tall task if the ball is moving that quick. And when everybody on the team is touching the ball 14 seconds into the play clock, that's poetry. That is the brand of basketball that you want your team playing. So when I say I am super excited to see this Cleveland Cavaliers team continue to dominate and take these steps, because I asked the question, is this the best Cavalier team as a whole that we have seen since LeBron came back in 2015 with the Kyrie, the Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Richard Jefferson, like Channing Frye? Is this team as a whole better than that team? And I was trying to think about that. I don't think I have a definitive answer yet, because 10 games 10 games is not enough to dethrone a championship team that we saw. And I know recency bias can make us feel like this team is better than that 2016 championship team. But I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on that, because I could very well see an angle and an argument where people will argue and say that this team is better than that 2016 team. And I think only time will tell. I think the big question is going to come in the playoffs when your best player, Donovan Mitchell, has to be the best player on the floor, not just on the team, but on the floor. And I think that's one of the things that will separate this team than the 2016 team, is because Kyrie at one point was the best player on the floor, not just on the team. LeBron James was at one point the best player on the floor, not on the team. If you can get Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley to be the three best players on the floor, now, I know it's going to be a different story when you talk about Boston and you talk about a healthy Sixers team with Paul George, Maxey, and Joel Embiid, and those things. Maybe the Bucks with Giannis and Lillard. But Donovan Mitchell, I think, is going to be the key to that question of, is this team going to be better than that one? Because I think the talent is there. If we look back at the 2016 Cavalier roster, I think as a whole, I think it may be better, but I don't want to jump that gun yet either. Let me see if I can go back to it on this page here real quick. 2016 right here, regular season. So this 2016 team had LeBron, Kyrie, Love, Crowford, Fry, JR, Tristan, Yaman. Oh my god, this was the dare. Wait, this was it. That wasn't the championship year. Hold on. 2015, 2016 was the championship year. Yeah, this makes more sense. Mozgov, Mo, Amon, Deladova, Richard. See the beauty here's the difference I say in these two teams as my chair is literally about to fall. I think I might actually fall in this episode. Um this team had everyone nobody played their roles better than the 2016-2015 Cavalier team. Tristan Thompson had an interview. I believe it was during that. I believe it was during the finals, and I believe he was asked a question, something along the lines of what makes this team so special. And I believe his answer was something like, everyone's just comfortable in playing their roles. No one was trying to do too much. No one was trying to beat. Kyrie wasn't trying to overstep LeBron. Kevin Love wasn't complaining about not getting the touches that he probably deserved. J.R. Smith was fulfilling his duty. Channing Frye was coming in off the bench and hitting his threes at a very high clip. Richard Jefferson was a two-way guy. Deladova, what's understood and got to be explained with him. Timothy Mozgov was asked to grab rebounds and finish around the rim, and he did that. Like, they were so good at playing their roles. Now, I'm not saying that this team that we're watching now isn't playing their roles. They're all playing their roles, which is why they're playing so well. But this team is playing. How do I want to explain? Like, the team basketball that they're playing, the roles that they're playing, they're all filling their roles, but they're also giving you a. I don't want to. That's it's kind of a bad comparison. I'm kind of comparing this bad because everyone is playing their roles to an exceptional team. But what I think everyone is excited about is everyone's bought into the fact that coach is actually running this. Like, this is actually, like, we're so bought into the Kenny Atkinson motto and what he's coaching us that in 2016 it was like, yeah, we got LeBron. LeBron will find a way to get this done. LeBron will galvanize his big three and get his guys together, and Ty Lue will come in where he needs to fit in, like the 2016 in the locker room, going into LeBron and saying, yeah, I need more. Like, he just needed a little bit of that. Kenny Atkinson is actually leading the show. He's actually implementing what's going on in the show, and he knows how to get the most out of every single body. Whereas in that 2016 team, we were relying on a player to do that, LeBron. So when your superstar player, Donovan Mitchell, comes out and just says, it's fun when you're winning it in all different types of ways. You won blowouts, you won close games, you won with everyone getting the ball. And it's not just focused on one person trying to do it all. That makes his life easier. It makes the team's life easier. It makes the coaches' jobs easier. It makes our lives as fans easier because we're not just sitting here staring at the screen saying, oh my God, Donovan Mitchell's carrying the team. Oh my God, is Darius Garland going to help Donovan Mitchell? Or is Evan Mobley going to turn into the player that we want him to be? Everything is slowly starting to come together. Just like me slowly gearing over in the Cleveland Cavalier content because our Cleveland Browns are 2-7 right now. It's gonna happen. It's just happened. It's slowly coming together, baby. And it just seems like it's fast right now because the Cavaliers are 10-0. Darius Garland is looking like the $200 million man that we paid him to be. Donovan Mitchell seems happy as he's ever been. Evan Mobley, I think I'm most impressed with Evan Mobley because I think if you guys remember watching the live streams when I was commentating the playoff games last year, I don't remember if you guys remember me going off on Evan Mobley and saying, bro, just the one thing I need you to work on this offseason is your hands and play like your brother. We watched the highlight tape of his brother, and I'm like, he needs to be doing that. How I've seen Evan Mobley come down the hill with the ball in his hand and make a move between the legs, put his back to the wall, put his back to the defender, 1-2, dribble, boom, and make a bucket. If you're going to get that Evan Mobley, and oh, by the way, he can step out and hit the corner three at a very good clip. Is this big three better than the LeBron James big three? Big ask, big question. Probably not. But I think it's at the hands of Evan Mobley. Because if Evan Mobley continues to take the steps of what he's doing right now, he's averaging 17, 17, almost 8 and almost 3 assists, almost a steal a game, 2 blocks a game. Like, this is crazy numbers for being a guy that the offense isn't being run through you. And you're probably number 3 on the chart behind Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, because there's games where Jared Allen is the focal point. We know Karis LeVert is a bucket getter. Like, Evan Mobley doing this. I mean, look at this. We have our whole we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys averaging double digits in points. That is insane. Like, we're not asking Evan Mobley to be Kevin Garnett or to be Giannis. We're not asking Darius Garland to be Kyrie or to be Steph Curry. We're not asking Donovan Mitchell to be LeBron James or Dwayne Wade or somebody like that. Like, everyone is playing their role. I guess it is. I guess it is the role. They're all playing it to a T. And I think once this honeymoon is over, we'll start to see the real Cleveland Cavaliers team that we have right now. I need to see this team with a little bit of adversity, because everything just can't go right 24/7. I know we've seen the Warriors seem like they've had everything go right when their dynasty was going on. And I'm not talking about the Cavaliers being a dynasty. That's way too far. We got to win. We got to get to the Eastern Conference Championship and get to the finals. But this team needs to they need to go through a little bit of adversity to make sure that everyone will still be bought in, to make sure that the fans can take the fans out of it. The fans ain't got nothing to do with this part. This is all the players aspect that I'm talking about. They got to go through the adversity. Everything just can't be gloomers all the way, because if adversity hits in April or June or May, that you don't want that then. So I want this streak to go on as long as it can. But come that midway point of the season, I would like to just see a little bit of adversity to see how they respond, to see how Kenny Atkinson responds, to see the adjustments that they make. And that would make me feel a lot more comfortable, because we know once you get into the playoffs, it's not going to be what you're seeing right now, unless they just are dominating at that clip. But I don't think they will be. There will be some adversity. There will be some things that are not going to go your way. There will be things where 6 players aren't averaging double digits. There will be times where you're not hitting your 3 ball like we've been seeing the first 10 games. There's going to be a time when all of this stuff comes. And I'm curious to know how they respond when that adversity hits. So let me know in the comments as well what you think. Let me know in the comments, how many games in a row do you think that they're going to win? Let's take a look at the schedule real quick. Let's take a look at the schedule, because they've got they can start 15-0. Brooklyn, come on now, we can beat them. Chicago, come on now. Philly, now I think Joel Embiid is supposed to be back for this game, so this game may be a little bit more difficult than we are anticipating. But Chicago again, Charlotte, and then this is where the game right here, Tuesday, November 19th. Versus the Boston Celtics in the Gardens. Will the Cleveland Cavaliers be undefeated November 19th versus the Boston Celtics? Let me know in the comments. And as we do that, we're going to wrap this episode up. And if anything big happens today, it's early in the morning. It's 7:22 right now. I don't know what time you guys are going to be watching this, but hey, I may get another episode out today, the way I'm trying to get this thing going, baby. So I'll catch you boys on the next episode. Make sure you guys are like, follow, subscribe, wherever you're on watching this or listening to this podcast from. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.